speaking of another player that the Lakers should have prioritized, I think it's time for us to have the talk about the GOAT, Alex Caruso. The reason we call him the GOAT, Alex Caruso, is it's a joke. Like, it's literally was a meme. It's literally, he was also coined Caruso, the janitor, all these different names. He was like a folk hero. And a couple of years ago, I would not have believed you if you would have told me that he was one of the reasons that the Lakers were world champions. But he was. And he was the reasons that they are struggling because this undrafted, regular-ass dude-looking guy with his headband, with a receding hairline that, I mean, is just absurd, out of Texas A&M, nicknamed the janitor, left L.A. for Chicago, and that's the reason that they're struggling. Well, and Russell Westbrook. When did we go from joking about the GOAT Caruso? Literally, people, when you say the GOAT Caruso, because you have to say it, if you're not in on the joke, people squint. They make weird faces. Why are you calling him the GOAT? How did he go from being the joke GOAT, which people on TikTok are going to get so mad about because the joke has gone so far that it's now back to being real. So I'm going to get slandered for saying he's a joke GOAT. He's the real GOAT to them, but it's still a joke in their heart, if you know what I mean. To a critical part of really two really good teams. He was a nice little role player who wore a headband and looked like he worked at Best Buy, to being a guy that DeMar DeRozan says has the highest basketball IQ he's ever played with. I think he might actually be better than people realize. He is second in the NBA in steals. At one point, when the article from The Athletic was written, he was leading the league in steals, and that was a day ago. A guy that was nicknamed the janitor because he said, someone's got to clean up, someone's got to do the dirty work, someone's got to work hard. He is leading the league in steals until just yesterday. Honestly, to me, he should be nicknamed the cookie jar because he's fucking taking everybody's cookies all day long, stealing cookies. Alex fucking Caruso, undrafted, out of Texas A&M, leading the league in steals? And you wanted to give him $7 million a year? God damn. He looks like, to me, the guy you'd see who plays basketball in, forest green sweatpants. You know? That has, a sweatshirt and sweats on and, socks that are up high and the headband. And you see him and you're like, this guy has got to be trash. But he tries really hard. That is Alex Caruso, but he is actually better than that. He honestly, he's like if Taco Fall could actually play, you know? He's a folk hero meme icon that's become a real player. He looks like we're going to slander him while we're giving him his flowers, I guess. He's 24 and he looks 38. If you can believe this, Alex Caruso had a receding hairline in middle school. Guess what? Now he's making waves. Why? Because he sat down with J.J. Redick and spilled the tea on what the Lakers did to him. He said they offered him less than 50. So J.J. Redick's like, hey, blink twice if they offered you more than $15 million for 2 years. Blink once if they offered you less. And he blinked once. He offered them 2 years, $14 million. And let me tell you this. Now, boy, Laker fans are sick. They are pissed. Rob Pelinka, they've got the little pitchforks out, and they're ready to come for Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss and the rest of the Buss family that are cheap as fuck, and they didn't want to sign the GOAT. They did not want to put the GOAT with the GOAT to win rings, right? And then they ended up inexplicably picking up some randoms, veteran minimum guys. Yeah. Let's play a little game. Who would you rather have on this list than Alex Caruso? Kendrick Nunn? No. Wayne Ellington? No. Malik Monk? No. Avery Bradley? Certainly not. Kent Bazemore? Certainly not. Rajon Rondo? No. Trevor Ariza? No. Sekou? No. DeAndre Jordan? No. THT? No. Like, they chose THT, Talon Horton-Tucker, over Alex Caruso. They had to pay one of them. Chose Talon, whatever. But I, truthfully, like, even might not take Carmelo over Alex Caruso. Like, Alex Caruso can play defense. And now, this is how much the Lakers miss him. This is now where we're at. In his first game back to LA as a Chicago Bull, the Lakers played, they created and played. They produced, created, and played for the entire Staples Center an Alex Caruso tribute video. Like he was dead. Like he was dead. He's right there. He was an undrafted guy off the bench who averaged 5.5 points a game for you, and you just created a montage video to be played in the arena to pay tribute to Alex Caruso like he was Chick Hearn. How big of a player, how impactful of a player do you have to be in order to get a tribute video while you are still like a posthumous, it's hard to say with the alive video. And the tributes boy came in. The flowers came in. Frank Vogel called him one of his favorite players that he's ever coached. Noted his winning habits, his winning DNA. This is what he said. He's a glue guy. Makes up for a lot of stuff. That's such a shady thing to say. Makes up for a lot of stuff. Can handle most matchups. Has great intelligence and toughness. How do you not love a guy who plays as hard as Alex does? He sounds like he wanted to keep him. His winning habits and DNA is a big part of the Bulls' resurgence. He was one of my favorite guys I've ever coached. Sounds like Frank Vogel wishes he had him still. DeMar DeRozan said this, one of the smartest players I've ever played with. Alex will definitely be a head coach in the NBA after he's finished playing. You'd think he'd be in the league 15 years the way he speaks about the game, gives advice. He's the loudest voice in the locker room a lot of times. J.J. Redick said, Alex Caruso to me is one of the most underrated free agent additions this past offseason. He's been tremendous for the Chicago Bulls. Even Steve Kerr randomly. Alex Caruso's great. Really happy to see him go to the Eastern Conference, though, because I don't want to play against him. Tough, smart, great pickup for the Bulls. LeBron James, my brother forever. So you might be asking, with all this praise, these tributes, why the fuck did the Lakers let him walk? A lot of people want answers. The answer really is 2 words. Really 1 word. Money. 2 words. Jeannie Buss. Another 2 words. Rob Pelinka. Alex Caruso told The Athletic, it wasn't like the Lakers didn't want me back or that I didn't want to come back. We won a championship together, and to do that again would be awesome. Alex wanted the full mid-level exception, 4 years, $40 million. Lakers tried to box out other contending teams so that they would be limited to the taxpayer mid-level exception, the Invisalign. $5.8 million a year, so that teams like the Warriors, Clippers, Bucks could not swoop in and steal Caruso. And that was a terrible plan. Cooked up by a bunch of idiots, truthfully, because the Wolves and Bulls offered more, a lot more, than the Lakers did. And so they thought they were going to keep Alex Caruso at a low ball rate. And no. Alex Caruso, the GOAT, got offers for real money. Caruso told his agent and said, yo, tell the Lakers 2-20 and I'll stay. The Lakers stood firm on 3 years, $21 million. An extra year for $1 million? You serious? Athletic noted, faced with going deep into the luxury to retain one of their most valuable role players, the Lakers balked. Cheap as fuck. These people are cheap. Who cheap? Alex signed with the Bulls 4 years, $37 million, $30 million guaranteed. That's a lot more money. Yeah. And just like that, see, this is another positive piece about the Bulls. DeMar and Lonzo and Alex Caruso changed the entire outlook for the Chicago Bulls. Now, what I was wrong about, Bulls have top 5 defense this year. A lot of that, Alex Caruso. Hustle, grit, janitor shit. And now he's even more important in the lineup because Patrick Williams got hurt. He's out for a while now. Alex is playing the 4 now. By the way, For those who don't remember, because it was just 12 months ago, he played the 1 for the Lakers. He played the backup 1 or 2 for the Lakers. He's playing 4 for the Bulls. The league is changing, man. Caruso had 4 games so far this season with 4 or more steals. Clamps. 4 or more steals in one game 4 times, and we're only 13 games into the season? Man. So, for his part, the janitor really does have a chip on his shoulder that goes back to being undrafted. He said this, 32 teams thought that I wasn't good enough to play in the NBA. That's something I just carry every single game that I play. Try and prove I'm supposed to be on an NBA roster. So, that is why Alex Caruso is a folk hero that they made a tribute for, like he died, despite the fact that he averaged just 6 points a game. I mean, the guy does everything possible to look like a janitor and still seems perplexed to think like he was like, I am a world-class athlete. I'm 6'5". I'm athletic. It's like, but Alex Caruso, look at your face. Look at your face. Remember, it's on TVs that are much smaller. We can't tell you're 6'5". Like for me, in my mind, you're 5'6". So disrespectful. Here's the truth. The Lakers fucked up. Caruso is basically the Trayvon Diggs of the NBA. He is picking people's pockets, letting him walk. Boy, turned into a massive mistake. And now that he's got a bigger role in Chicago, I think the Lakers think it's even more of a mistake. I think we're starting to see Alex Caruso is even more valuable than he was last year. And if the Lakers continue to struggle defensively going forward, it's not because of KCP. It's not because of Kuzma. It's not because of Russ. It's because they lost Caruso. This is probably going to go down as one of the reasons that the Lakers' season is a failure. And if the Lakers don't win another ring, which is kind of likely, maybe we should be asking LeBron James why he didn't push harder for his brother to stay on this roster like a GOAT would do. Because nobody saw what Bron saw, the intangibles, the tangibles. And Caruso leaving might be one of the greatest mistakes in Laker history.